Unë jam TRINGA AJETI, e kom 16 vjet, jetoj këtu në Amerikë edhe kom qef me hongër pite me spanach. And in Albanian I just said, my name is TRINGA AJETI, but with an Albanian accent. I'm 16 years old, I live here in America, and my favorite food is spinach pie. I'm not that bad in Albanian. Outside of my house is New York City, but whenever I walk in my apartment, it feels like I am just in an authentic, Albanian home. For example, whenever I have friends over, they often tell me that my house smells Albanian because of the food my mom cooks. I guess you could say I grew up around the Albanian culture, but for some reason, I still feel disconnected.
I came to United States on 1990, to be exact 17th of November 1990. The reason I came to this country is for better life for myself and my family, for better education for my kids.
Both of my parents were raised in, Kosovo, and then they came here when they started the family. And they came here for a better life like many immigrants do. And so they have 4 daughters. I'm the third one, and I was the first daughter born here in the U.S. The first family member that has had an American passport. So I feel kind of special.
I can still remember the day I left Kosovo, and I like to tell people I don't because it's a saddened day, but I do remember it. I just remember being in a car with my sister, my grandmother, my uncle, and my 2 aunts. And I remember this long journey in the middle of nowhere, of what I thought was the middle of nowhere. And I remember these 2 doors, and they opened, and there was my mom and my dad and my younger sister, TRINGA there.
Growing up, I've always wanted to fit in with my American friends, eat American food, do American things, so I want to go back to my Albanian roots and feel more connected to that.
To keep our culture alive, we also speak Albanian at home, me, my wife and my kids. We eat Albanian traditional food, which is pite pie in English, flia, pasulj.
I already started my journey of connecting to my Albanian roots by making my first Albanian dish ever, and it was really, really difficult. Definitely not a cook, but I got my mom to help me here and there. She told me what to do, and we made burek with spinach, and that's like the Greek style of a spinach pie.
There are a lot of misconceptions about what it means to be an Albanian or a Kosovar, especially from the Balkans. I remember this class I was taking called Core Balkans. A lot of people said, oh, all I remember is that there's bad stuff there with bad people and wars, and people don't like each other, there's intolerance, and people are just rude to each other. And hearing that about my land, my home, and where I come from was so wrong, and it was painful. And I think that's because the only time that Kosovo was ever put on an international map was during the 1990s, when there were conflicts and then the war, and so not a lot of people saw the good as I did.
There is a huge difference between Albania and Kosovo, and I come from Kosovo, and I've been to Albania before, and the language, first of all, is different. I mean, those countries speak Albanian, but it's kind of like Albanians from Albania, they speak properly and they have this accent or whatever, and people from where I'm from, Kosovo, we tend to speak like a slang Albanian, and the food is pretty much the same, but there are differences, and Albanians are often Catholics, and Albanians from Kosovo are Muslims, and there are a lot more mosques there and not really that many churches, whereas Albania, there are a lot of churches and not as many mosques. So the culture definitely depends on what religion people are.
When Kosovo became independent on March 17, 2008, we celebrated in Times Square, and there was like hundreds of thousands of Albanians We celebrate with the music, with American Albanian flag, with dancing.
During Independence Day in Kosovo, my sisters and I were lucky enough to be there. We were with our families, and there was a huge parade in the capital, Kosovo, which is Pristina.
At home, we speak Albanian to one another, so whenever I don't know a word or I don't understand something, I have my parents translate for me. So that's a way I increase my Albanian vocabulary. But, you know, it does get difficult at times because it's like I live in two completely different worlds. At home, I speak in Albanian and English, so like ALBINGLISH. But at school, I only speak in English, so it's hard to transition at times. Another way my Albanian vocabulary improves is by watching Albanian TV that I have at home. We have tons of channels. We have channels that show comedy shows, drama, the news, music videos, kind of like MTV.
We bring the Albanian culture at home with internet, talking to my family, in Escape.
Alo!
Orani!
Qa po bëni? Qysh jeni?
S'nash e rahat? Jo?
Qysh po kaloni?
Allah, ju kënaqshëm, ha birrin një vend.
Bravos, bravos.
Today I went to this community place in the Bronx, and it was an Italian-Albanian community place. And I expected it to be more Italian than Albanian, and I was wrong. The first thing I saw was this huge wall, and it was graffitied on, and it was this Albanian flag, and it was in memory of someone who passed away. And across the street was this place called Kosovo store, and I was like, wow, it's not an Albanian store from Albania, it's an actual Kosovo store. So I went there, and everything there was 100% pure Albanian, other than the Nutella, but Albanians love Nutella. And a couple blocks away, I went to this Burek place, and when I went there, I wanted to compare my food with their food. You know, I just wanted to compare, so I bought it, and you know, obviously this was professionally made, and you know, obviously the person who made this this wasn't their first dish, so of course theirs was better, but it was cool that just, you know, I'm used to people saying, oh, let's go eat some Thai food, or oh, let's eat Italian in Little Italy, and no one ever really says, let's eat some Albanian food. And I mean, I can see why, because there aren't Albanian restaurants everywhere, but I'm sure in this neighborhood people go, oh, let's eat some Albanian food across the street and eat this. And that was cool. Definitely going to visit there again.
Okay. Tash në relogën, përzije. E qërë ato. Qëmë të pitja më spano, aqë më shumë të tringës.
I do feel like I know more than I thought. I feel like there are some ways of me connecting, which is, you know, going to the Albanian restaurant every now and then and eating Albanian food, not from my mom's kitchen. But I feel like I do know more than I thought I did, because, you know, when I went to the Albanian place in the Bronx, I was talking to them in Albanian. I was like, oh, I know this and I know that. I eat that cheese all the time. And I felt like I was more connected. I was like, wow, I'm actually not so disconnected from my Albanian culture. I just feel like I am because I'm living here in New York City and not in Kosovo. And making my first Albanian dish made me feel more connected as well, because food is a big part of my Albanian life. And the fact that I made something, my favorite Albanian dish ever, and I was making it, it made me feel more connected, because I was like, oh, my mom makes this all the time, and she's definitely Albanian, grew up there too. So I definitely feel more connected now that I did all that I can here in New York City.
Tu ish pru zhgurët e i liri
gjurme të dardanit, do të ndez zjarrin Kosova, dritë për ty, Ibrahim Rugova. Dritë për ty, dritë për ne, keni djele një dhe, kuna pret nana të sofra, kuna lil kanë nga të votra.